the absence of some of the top drivers in the form of Frinker, Nima95, Pole Sitter, Mike VWFC, and Rizodkeep, whose reserve didn't show up unfortunately, Division 1 was lacking some of its star power this week. Oh, hang on, what's this? Nima found a reserve, and it's only the recently crowned winner of the Multi-Class Endurance Championship Season 3 Smithy 112, and what's this now? Oh no. Oh no, it's him. He's here. Mike has also found himself a replacement driver, but we'll get to that later, as right now there's some shunting going on at the back of the pack, and Headshot just appears right behind me as Mini Temper's got the chicane all wrong, which is going to allow me to pull off an early pass after a relatively clean start here on Maze Bank Ring, created by AWes7 and featuring some of the neatest and well-propped pavement coverage for this area that you'll ever see, as we close up to the creator himself at the tail end of the lap here, thinking about a move down the inside but having to back out of it, and oh dear, well, apparently someone needs to be fired from the track testing department. Forget what I said just now, literally hours and hours of perfected prop placement straight into the back of a trash master there, crushing AWes' hopes of winning this race in the process. No, but jokes aside, being a fellow creator myself, we like to push the props right up to the edge of the static items littered among the pavements here, and it's actually possible that the invisible hitbox of the bus stop back there could well have been poking through the containers, plus at the right angle. No prop is truly smooth in this game. I've debunked them all, not the start-finish gates, not the perfectly placed construction barriers, I've been through them all. It's just the way the game goes, I'm afraid, and I can hear the car and race communities now.
Well, this is why we race without any props. Pure GTA.
Well, you keep on doing those 1080 no-scope corkscrews over falling lampposts, and we'll continue pursuing as good a racing experience as this game will allow, as we have a grand reveal that Murphos is Mike's replacement, picking up not one, not even two, but 3 positions in quick succession there, as Defiance bounces off the inside apex at the final corner. Defiance Wires standing in for Oracle XR there. So I know he hasn't had much practice in the Banshee, despite running a little later on in the Sultan. They are 2 very different cars, but my priority at this stage is to not let Murphos get away, as we've seen what happens when someone with his pace gets clear air, and it's important to keep the pressure on. We all saw Neo simply stay out while others pitted, and the race was his. So concentrating on the battle ahead, as Defiance is about to crash out catastrophically, you might have thought that, hey guys, Picano here, would be able to hold him up, but it turned out Picano had done no practice at all, and just knowing which line to drive on down a straight can mean all the difference against a guy like Murphos, as he picks off Picano in a relatively effortless fashion. Now I know we've had a 2-week break, but that really shows the importance of getting at least a few practice laps in. Truth be told, the person with the most practice going into this race was Murphos, and he's not even a contender. I mentioned this in response to the claims that too many drivers practice for this event, and it's not about adapting to new tracks and cars. That's not the case. Division 1 especially rarely practice for the tracks, and quite honestly, I am saying this to excuse our pace, because it's immediately shown up when someone who does put the laps in joins the fray. Many of the drivers were opting to take their pit stop at this stage. Now we're only a few minutes into the race and I'm already up to 5th, and that means there's 9 other cars somewhere behind me, pitman not included, and they're already having to deal with each other in this one-stop race. So it made sense for me and Murphy to just keep driving because we weren't really being held up. Now in practice this had been my best sector, and it was essential to short shift early and let the Banshee's final gear do the rest. Screaming past Game and Easter Egg down the back straight, much like what happened to Picano on the previous lap, and we're even closing up. So objective achieved, pressure applied. My new goal was to simply play copycat, mirror the lines, keep this sort of pace going, because if you've not noticed, 2nd and 3rd, I really don't agree with this pit strategy from everyone else, because now we are moving and there's no one in front to stop us. A couple of slides here and there, but I was intent on following the line. The trouble with copying someone's every move is that you can occasionally be led down the garden path and faceplant into the family tree. Go back and watch that again, and tell me that my car wasn't anywhere near as wide as his was mid-corner, and yet he magically lags back onto the track, whereas I've been done, I've been duped, and now I'm a position down. But for all he knows, I disappeared from his minimap due to pitting in on lap 7, so we'll just leave him with that, and we'll say farewell to Murphos for now, leave him with that uncertainty, and focus on reclaiming the lost position from Easter Egg, which was accomplished with a lovely pass down the inside there. Moments ago I said this had been my best sector, but for some reason from this point onwards I became allergic to that apex, and I dipped my right wheels in that stupid pothole so many times that it wasn't even ironically funny anymore. It just kept sucking me out wide and murdering my speed for the upcoming straight. So frustrating. Anyway, Smithy112 found himself being lapped after that, and I think Jim Bob Stroud put this best. There's just no middle ground with Smithy. Either he comes in the top 2, or he has the worst race ever. But don't worry, Smithy, I'm going to miss this apex again and make your life even more miserable. By this point, Sean-L13 had given up, pulled over and accepted relegation, and surprisingly Mini Temper wasn't much further up the road either. So what a shambles for some of these Division 1 drivers. Approaching lap 17, I may have heard over the mic that Murphos was taking his pit stop. Now I could have pitted in to save him the trouble, or I could just slot the car in front of him and just let him ponder whether I'd pitted earlier or not. Just let him have a think about it. I could just imagine him. Did he pit in before or not? No, there's no way. It's impossible. I've been doing mid-120s. There's no way he's come out in front. Just that sadistic satisfaction that I very likely hadn't outpaced the hot lapper for 10 straight laps and got the jump, but that he just didn't know for sure. I was pissing myself knowing that he was going to push like mad to try and get this position back, even though he was actually miles ahead, which is why the fun and games came to an abrupt halt when that happened. Ah, what a way to feel like a dick. Could have pitted in, but didn't. Should have pitted in, but didn't. Could have cost him the victory of the race to UFO driver. Well, let's hope that's not the case, and wait to see what happens. What's worse is that the only person who was going to suffer from this was me, as all the work I'd done to open up a gap to the group of battling cars behind me had now disappeared, especially after that further crash at turn 4. I had no choice really but to stay out until the very last lap I could to try and get that back. Pulling up to the pitman Golub Shreko, I could but wait for the approaching red dots on my minimap and just hope that I didn't lose out to all of them. Unbelievably, MC West came through in third. Now the rocket fired, so I was good to go, but how many cars? 1, 2, and a third car behind me. So we've rejoined behind Ryan and Gaming Easter Egg in a pitiful 6th place, which really should have been 3rd. While UFO driver crashes from the lead of the race and Murphos enters first. So at least I can breathe a sigh of guilt-free relief. That is until we approached my best sector and once again I lose it at the apex of one of the most crucial corners on the track, and now I've got the track's creator AWes7 all over my rear bumper. If there's anyone I didn't want behind me, it was probably him. Alright, 1 lap to go. Can we do what I did last race and upset Ryan once again on the final lap? That would be pleasing. Well, first I'd have to get around Easter Egg, and with the run I've got, and with that tiny amount of oversteer through such a high-speed section, I don't think twice about putting my car on the inside, seemingly engaged once again by the urgency of the situation. So I was able to hold the position there, and all was looking well, but then I remembered that doing one more lap would involve doing my favourite sector one more time. And if you've been enjoying the consistency of the video, well, I haven't let you down, as now I'm under all kinds of pressure once again from AWes, who's made a move on Game and Easter Egg, and we're coming up to the final corners of the lap here, but with the damage on my Banshee, it just won't turn in whatsoever. I've hit the containers. AWes is thinking about a move down the inside, and this is going to be crucial to hold around the outside. Last turn then, can I make a wide line work? I've got to remember what happened to the tree. Watch out for the tree. Can I hold it? Yes, okay. 5th place. 5th place. Look at this guy. Bulletproof jackets? Who do you think you are, Roman Reigns? Well, congratulations Murphos for starting at the back of the pack and puncturing a hole through the entire division. I'm pretty sure Mike BWFC is going to be surprised to learn what you've done for him. Further congratulations go out to UFO Driver for leading most of the race, and a big one to MC West for his best result of the season so far. Now, Division 2 had some rather interesting scenes at the start of the race, as we had loads and loads of traffic spawning in. So we decided to run a safety car lap to see if we could get any of this traffic to disappear, and thankfully we could, and we were able to get the race underway without any problems. A nice clean start there down at turn 1 for Division 2. And as we skip to the end, you may have expected Frinker to come through to take a dominant victory. And while that was half true, you may not have expected Scrayzone 92 to be quite so close at the end, and you may be further surprised to learn that Scrayzone 92 had in fact overtaken Frinker just a few minutes ago, but under the pressure he crashed out and gave him it right back. Defiance came through there for 3rd as Uchia and Crowgamer battle around the final turn for 4th and 5th. And why is that? Well, JBeast888 crashed out on the final lap, giving up his promotion slot despite having driven in the top 5 for the entire race. So Oh, he's got to be sick as a dog. Losing it on the final lap to Uchia and Crowgamer. Crowgamer and Defiance were reserves for other drivers who I can't recall right now, but that will all change in Season 2 with the new reserve driver rules coming in. More about that in the Rambling Recap. As we move on to Division 3, you can just see the difference in Turn 1, how spread out the cars are, how just everyone's a little bit more cautious. Just interesting to note the differences between Division 2 and Division 3 in the same car there. Now, on the minimap at the final turn, one red dot has just had a moment, and it's Guzman Mestre, and in his head, all he's thinking is, I'm going to pit in, I'm going to pit in. I don't give a shit if there's other cars there, I'm driving into that pit lane, and Jim Bob's collected moderated account, and oh, there's been horrible scenes. I've got, this is one of the worst clusterfucks I've ever seen in Children of the Mountain so far. Guzman Mestre casually pulls up, Dylan makes a quick pit stop as well. And I need to be having some words with Guzman about his driving style, I'm afraid, because that is just absolutely unacceptable. I did manage to catch some scenic shots of the dreaded chicane here towards the end, as we see BC Eagles guy making his debut come through to take possibly the most dominant victory of the weekend. I even had to skip ahead to catch More Youngstar coming round in second, who warned me to prepare myself, and I did so just to catch his signature finish, this time parking his car in a more safe location. Jeroen comes through in third, which is a great result for a debut, going straight up to Division 2, as Crowgamer does some flashy shit for the cameras, knowing that he's got fourth in the bag. Now, I've got to address something from this race. I have never heard such a bunch of crybabies in my life. Oh, the Sultan's undrivable. If you damage it a little bit, I'm going to sell it straight after the race. Oh, pull yourselves together. Look at the state of you crashing on the final turn. Spread out all over the track. This is just what happens if you don't put any practice laps in. But a big congratulations there to Golub Shreko, who just keeps coming back week after week, and he's got himself into Division 2. That's a fantastic result for Golub Shreko. As we see moderated account Dylan, Jim Bob and Guzman bring up the final results. But of course, Guzman probably won't be hanging around in 10th for too long after I apply a penalty or two. Great result for Golub, and keep your eyes on this new guy, BC Eagles guy. Who knows how far this guy's going to climb up the mountain. That wraps up Week 7 for Children of the Mountain, and I will see you all next Sunday.